Welcome, everyone, to our program today. We have Dr. Linda Kodnar here and myself, Gary Robillard. We're glad to have you here. If you're watching these videos and you like them, please subscribe to our channel and click the bell so that you get notified when we go live or when we post a video. Today, Linda, what are we talking about?
We're going to talk about relaxation and breath work. So many people get told all the time, just take a breath. When you're upset, angry, look like you're in a dither, maybe you're just not with it. You're just falling asleep at the couch, almost looks like you need to start breathing again. So, what does that really mean when somebody says to you, take a breath? Personally, I want to rip my hair out when I see um, hear somebody saying that, or they've got it tattooed on their wrist. Breathe. What does that really mean? Because many of us aren't even aware of what our personal breathing signature is. So, a starting point is the awareness of our own breathing signature. Like, what do you do, Gary, when you're working away at the desk? Have you ever noticed what your breath is doing?
Yeah, and I really never thought about it until I think it was one time I was in your office and you said, Gary,
Yeah.
breathe. And I'm going, I am, oh, am I? And I didn't even know that I was so shallow breathing that even when we were having a conversation, I would actually stop breathing for a little while. And I didn't even realize it till you mentioned it. So,
Yes.
yeah, very
I,
shallow, I think.
I totally remember that day. That was just awesome. I love the shock and look on your face. And the thing that you can do collectively as a group, or I do this one on one in my office when I notice someone is really intent on telling me what their problems are, or their issue is, or they just came in from something really extreme and they're just, "Blah," and they're not even taking a breath as you did. And I start to slow my own breath down. And I don't tell them. I just start breathing more slowly, and it seems to, through osmosis, affect them. And they
Hmm.
start to take a big sigh, and then they
Yeah.
start on a more a level, even keel, start to breathe. But they're still shallow top breathing. They're not taking nice deep belly breaths as the other signature that everyone talks about too.
Right. So would you say that when with the shallow breathing that I seem to have, it's not, filling lung capacity, so I'm not getting the oxygen to the blood like I should. Is that
Yeah. And
would that be fair
therefore
to say?
brain.
Yeah, meaning no wonder I forget everything, go downstairs and oh, what did I go down here for? Okay, that answers that question. Thank you.
So yeah, most people do a terrible job of breathing. And you put yourself into panic because exactly your brain is kind of waiting for that oxygen to come in and it's just not getting enough. You're like you're treading water. Instead of like the nice slow even breath that we need to do. And when we're in that hyper sort of breath, there's a time and place for it. And what that looks like is, say you had to lift something heavy, and what you do is you pump all your muscles up with lots of oxygen. How can you do that? You do fire breath, which is
Ah,
sort of like you're pumping up a tire.
right, right.
Like a bicycle tire. You really just sort of in and out with your belly, not just the top. So it's not
Ah. So there's a difference between breathing up the upper part and breathing on the lower
the
part.
lower part.
And
Yes.
how would it, if a person's used to breathing on this upper part, how can they cognitively say no, that's wrong breathing?
Yeah, so they get people are told to put your hands on your belly, the lower part of your belly, and then you puff that out like a Santa Claus belly,
Ah,
or as my kids like to say it, Pokemon. Your Pokemon belly comes puffs right out, and then you breathe in and out that way.
so
So
if
you
you're breathing in
pressing
and your
out.
stomach's coming in, that means you're Probably breathing up
reverse
on the
breathing.
top. Right. Okay.
Reverse breathing, yeah. And when you're contracted, so you're cold, you're contracted, you're angry, you're sad, everything is stiff and harsh. So therefore, there's no flow. So when in yoga, they refer to it as pranayama. So the prana is not just the breath. The breath is also the energy or the life force of the body that gets to flow with the breath. Yes.
Oh,
So
interesting.
it has a physical, like a mental, a spiritual, emotional impact on the body when the prana can follow the breath. So the energy that is available to us, the vital force of that is unseen. You
Yeah.
know, this is how we are, and the breath is supported by us consciously being aware of it. So, as you became aware that you weren't breathing, what did you do?
Br- Breathed.
You took a nice deep breath. And
Right.
many people, when you see them sighing all the time, it also means that they're not breathing properly regularly either, because they're needing to get more breath, and then that gives them more relaxation, because then the prana energy goes to give them the vitality.
So
So
it's the brain saying, okay, you're not going to breathe. I'm going to make you breathe. We're going to kick in a yawn here.
that's right. So the awareness has to start first. Am I tense and tired, or just tense and upset? Which is it? What am I feeling right now? Oh, well, fatigue. Okay. Interesting that fatigue. Oh, we're yawning away.
Yeah.
To get more breath. And what are some other symptoms of fatigue? Well, we could be cold, we could be constipated, we have a dopey brain. So there's lots of symptoms of that. And the last thing people would think to say to you then is to take a breath.
Right.
But that's actually what you need to do. And you have to focus on a regulation of that breath. So the contrary to that um, is the tension or the uptight type of situation where, again, we're feeling like, oh my goodness, I'm concentrating so hard on this work, I'm not even breathing. It's
Yeah.
almost
And I
like you're
think,
holding your breath to get it done.
well, and I think that's kind of where I fall into, because you get so focused that you do forget to, it's not until you feel that stress, and then it's go, if you catch that you're stressed, then I do it. But that's where I have a struggle with is getting so focused that I forget to, even though you've helped me to understand that and showed me techniques. It's still if I have to go so far in my focus that it's like, okay, then I have to notice it.
Right. And
Is
see,
there a way to notice it beforehand? I mean, we were talking offline here that I should create an app so that we could, hey, it's time to breathe, goober.
well, it always comes back down to that word of awareness, and maybe sticky notes of awareness all over the place is
Yeah,
another good place to start, because if you're not breathing, this will trickle into other health problems, because the organs aren't getting oxygenated
yeah,
properly, and that can lead into other things. So um, what we want to be is in a more parasympathetic state, which is the calm state, and our mind follows the breath. So
right.
if you've got the swirling thoughts of everything going around, or you're laying in bed at night and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, and those thoughts came because you didn't finish your workday properly, but that's for a subject another day.
Mm-hmm.
You start to focus only on the breath, and then the mind starts to slow down. So you have to slow the breath down. And what does that look like? We talked about how are we going to show that on here. So, you take your breath in. And there it sits. And it's sitting. And during this sitting time, you have oxygen and carbon dioxide being exchanged. Isn't that a technical thing to think about there? Okay, now you let it out. Still letting it out. Still letting it out. Still letting it out. Still letting it out.
Question.
There you go. Now you're at the bottom. Now
So,
you can gracefully bring it back up again. So getting that kind of long extension of exhale is what gets your mind slowing down and relaxation kicking in.
so should a person breathe in through their nose, exhale through their nose, breathe in through their nose, exhale through their mouth?
Because I'm trained in Kundalini yoga techniques and I consider it as the top yoga,
Mm-hmm.
I breathe in through the nose and out through the nose, unless
Oh,
otherwise instructed.
okay. Good to
And there
know.
would be specific times in a yoga set of exercises that you would have like cannon breath, or you would have breath of fire. So but that's still through the nose.
Got it.
Yeah. So they believe that there's a connection with the nose to the hemispheres of the brain, and that would be a great discussion for another time. But what we need to do is do it through the nose, up and out through the nose, and that's also really good etiquette too, because the nose is a filter,
Right.
and that is going to filter out any of the debris floating around in the room, viruses, bacteria. That's the job of the nose. Yeah. So in
Okay.
through the nose, out through the nose. There is some breathing techniques that also are very calming and a little more complicated than the one I showed you, and that would be breathing in on the left nostril, holding, and then swinging over and blocking off the other nostril now, that like blocking off the left nostril and exhaling through the right nostril completely. Swing back, up through the left, and out through the right. And generally speaking, you're using these two, and it's a very graceful motion of swinging. And if your arm is getting tired after 3 minutes or 11 minutes of doing this, you can rest it on your chest and then just support your arm. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be much pressure to just block that off. You don't have to sort of push your nose to the other side of your face. Yeah. So these types of techniques can, like, already I feel zen. I don't know about you, but that just those
Mm-hmm.
few breaths cause the brain to slow down, take in other things in the room and feelings in your body, and it just mellows, zens you out. How does that feel?
Yeah, actually, I could feel it with just that little bit we're doing. I noticed a difference.
Yes. So I see we wanted to keep this, or I wanted to keep this on the shorter side today. So just to wrap up, let's talk about the signature of your breath, being aware of how we tend to start breathing when we're focusing on our work, when we're relaxing, when we're having our dinners. What is your breath like in between mouthfuls, for even sakes? We have to always be conscious of how are we circulating the prana or the life force energy through our bodies so that we can actually have more energy and yet do it in a relaxed state. And
Right.
this will help many people with insomnia, anxiety, all the different things that are triggered, and we end up with feeling like we're short of breath, which indeed we aren't. We just
Right.
need to slow it down and make it part of our personal hygiene almost. That's
Mm-hmm.
what a breath signature actually comes down to.
Right.
So, if anybody has any questions or would like to learn more about this, I'd be happy to expand on that. I think it's really, really important to understand what taking a breath really means. And it's all about the exhale. So,
Yeah.
thanks very much.
Yeah, this has been really good because I think a lot of times we I know for myself, this has been an issue for me, which you've helped me to see, and understanding, how you breathe can affect your, like you said, energy, all sorts of different things. And so, this is something that I know that people think, oh, well, it's what do you call it, an autonomic thing? You're
Autonomic, yes.
autonomic thing where you're just breathing, but that's true, but how you
Yes.
breathe makes a difference, right?
It does, and there's very many exercises that people will give. So, like the 4 box breath, in for 4, hold for 4. I mean, it's very simplistic, but it doesn't bring the purpose of what we're trying to achieve. I hate to say, we need to
Yeah,
have that long exhale,
yeah,
and we are doing it with graciousness, not just sucking in air all of a sudden and then blowing it all out.
right, right,
It's done with more mindfulness.
right.
Yeah.
Awesome,
I
awesome. Well,
hope it's
thank
been
you
a
so
great.
much. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you so much, Linda. This has been really a good education, and hopefully you can appreciate with yourself. Have a look at yourself. What is your breath signature, and kind of analyze how you're breathing and where you stop breathing, like me, and and maybe if you're having some struggles with it, don't hesitate to go to
Reach
Linda's
out.
website, lindakodnar.com. Reach out, book an appointment, or put a post in here and ask a question if you've got questions about breathing techniques or maybe things that you're struggling with. This has been great, Linda. Thank you so much.
Take care. Have a great weekend.
Bye for now, everyone. Take care.